Well, good evening and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 Night Report. I'm Mark Hanrahan. The 4th of July is right here, but it's going to be quite the temperate start compared to the hot stretch that we've seen recently. So let's get right outside to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo live in the Outdoor Weather Center for more on what we can expect for the 4th. Jeremy?
Mark, I think it works out to be just about perfect. I know it is going to be a little bit cooler and a little bit cloudier, but this is a good thing. Let's talk why, because as our forecast changes, things will start to eventually shift. Relative humidity still sits pretty low. That's the biggie here. That's what I want you to take home tonight. As we move through the day, tomorrow we'll likely see an increase in atmospheric moisture. By tomorrow morning, we're waking up to temperatures back down in the mid and low 50s, even a couple of 40s dotted on there as those temperatures trend cooler following the cold front that moved through yesterday. We'll eventually see a little more cloud cover, but notice all of our moisture stays in the mountains of the southern panhandle or the far northern reaches of the Cascades. We will see a little bit of activity try to move in, but the closest it's going to get is in the shape of cloud cover and more moisture in the atmosphere. Once again, that is a good thing. You saw early Saturday morning, looks like rain. I don't think that's necessarily happening. Instead, what I think is going to happen is a mix of clouds and sun tomorrow with a high of just 79, 80 degrees on Saturday, and then we turn the corner toward warmer weather on Sunday. But thankfully, we're cooler, cloudier, and have some atmospheric moisture on the 4th of July.
All right, sounds good. Jeremy will check back in with you later in the show. Well, we have learned when the celebration of life will be held for the 2 firefighters murdered near Coeur d'Alene on Sunday. Coeur d'Alene Fire Battalion Chief John Morrison will be celebrated July 10th, and then Battalion Chief Frank Harwood for Kootenai County Fire and Rescue will be celebrated a day later on July 11th. Both services will take place at the Hagedon Event Center in Coeur d'Alene. However, the families request that this celebration of life be for close family, friends, and uniformed personnel only. If you would like to send sympathy or condolences messages, we have that address on our website. Just head to KREM.com. The 3rd firefighter injured in that ambush remains in the hospital tonight. Dave Tisdall is still in the ICU after undergoing a 3rd surgery, but is now listed as stable instead of critical. The 20-year-old suspect believed to have started the brush fire on purpose to lure the firefighters in. He was later found dead in the woods near a gun. His wounds self-inflicted, according to investigators. Well, in the wake of 2 firefighters being killed and 1 seriously injured, North Idaho Girl Scouts showed their appreciation to first responders by giving cookies away. Dubbed Operation Fireman Carry, the Girl Scouts spread out and gave away more than 2,000 boxes of cookies to fire stations in Post Falls, Athol, and Coeur d'Alene. They also donated boxes to police stations, the Sheriff's Office, Lands Management, and Kootenai County Search and Rescue. Well, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students back in November of 2022 has admitted to the murders, both in court yesterday and in writing. In a document obtained by KREM 2 News, he admitted to willful, unlawful, deliberate, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, killing and murder. It was hand-signed by Kohberger himself. In a rare move, the prosecutors revealed the state's trial evidence. It includes cell phone records, surveillance footage of Kohberger's car repeatedly circling the student's Moscow home minutes before the killings, as well as evidence leaking blood at the scene to DNA on a piece of garbage at Kohberger's parents' house. His sentencing is set for July 23rd.
Mr. Kberger entered the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted.
The full extent of those details may never be known. All right, time for your night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Today, the U.S. House passed the One Big Beautiful Bill. The legislation significantly boosts spending for border security, immigration enforcement, and defense. It also extends President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, increases the child tax credit, and end taxes on tips and overtime pay. He praised the passing of the budget bill as, quote, the biggest bill of its kind ever signed, and said there, quote, were no deals made with congressional GOP holdouts.
Again, it's the biggest bill ever signed of its kind.
Lawmakers passed a massive budget bill after a day of tense negotiations. President Trump is planning a White House signing ceremony for his signature legislation on the 4th of July tomorrow. Meantime, the Washington State Hospital Association has been sounding the alarm, saying cuts to Medicaid may cause hospitals and healthcare providers in rural areas to lose millions of dollars, potentially even close. We spoke with Eastern Washington Representative Michael Baumgartner earlier today about those concerns.
Well, there's a lot of alarmism and hyperbole there. I mean, look, Medicaid is a federal matching program to the states. So the states can decide to do whatever they want to with their health care spending. But what the federal government's not going to do anymore is not going to pay for illegal immigrants to be on health care as they are in Washington state. And it's not going to pay for able-bodied workers who could get off the couch and be in the labor force, and they're not going to be paid for as well. You know, what's challenging the hospital in Washington state is a lot of things that have happened in Olympia, like nursing mandates and other high tax rates that they've imposed upon hospitals. So Washington state does have challenge.
Additional lawmakers are reacting to the big beautiful bill's passage in the House. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson denouncing the bill, focusing on the transfer of wealth from the lower and middle classes to the upper class. The governor said, quote, "This bill takes food from our most vulnerable Washingtonians to give tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. This bill is only beautiful to billionaires," unquote. And that's it for your Night Beat. For more information on any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. All right, don't go to bed just yet. The 4th of July, just hours away. We've got all the best fireworks shows around the area that you need to check out.